On today's episode of Home Media Minefield, I'm going to be looking at the Blu-ray release of The Man Who Haunted Himself. Coming up. Hello, I'm Keith and welcome to Home Media Minefield, helping you with information to navigate the complexities of home cinema and home media entertainment. And for today's episode, I'm going to be looking at the Kino Lorber Blu-ray release of The Man Who Haunted Himself, a 1970 film starring Roger Moore. Now, I'm a massive fan of this film and have been ever since I was a kid. I'm not going to go into details on that here because it's not a film review, but I will put some links down below. One to a podcast that I did with Movie Heaven, Movie Hell, which we put out a few years back to commemorate Roger Moore. And another link to a recent live stream that I did for AFK Bard at the Movies, where I enthuse about how much and why I love this film. But onto the Blu-ray release. I previously owned this film on DVD, but it has, the last couple of years, come out on Blu-ray. It's available from different distributors depending on where you are geographically. But the reason I went for the Kino Lorber release, which is a US Region A locked version, is simply because it had more special features. Well, it had a special feature on it which I wanted. But please note, if you want this version, you will need a Blu-ray player that's capable of playing Region A Blu-rays. If you don't, there are other regions available. In fact, the United Kingdom version B release from Network, you also get the DVD packaged with that as well. The Kino Lorber comes with just the Blu-ray. Now, it's been hard to find any other releases around the world. Plenty on DVD, but none on the remastered 1080p Blu-ray. That seems to just be from these two. I'll put links to both down below if you want to find them. So first up, onto the picture quality on this. And I can say that the Blu-ray is a vast improvement on the previous standard definition transfers on DVD. This film was obviously originally shot on film back in 1970 and was obviously quite a modestly budgeted film for the time. This is presented in its original 185:1 aspect ratio, and I have to say looks very clear and clean. They've done a really good job cleaning this up. There is some film grain naturally, and for most of the movie until it gets to the end, it's got quite a naturalistic look anyway. But it is a little bit more stylized towards the end. But everything looks clear and sharp here. There are one or two scenes where the focus naturally drifts, which was commonplace for films made at the time. But I'm really happy with this presentation and hope that you will be too. Now, the audio on this is just a DTS 2.0 stereo mix. They haven't gone to any sort of great lengths to give it a surround track or anything on this, but they've done a very good job of actually cleaning up the audio, removing any hiss and pops, so that it's a very clear and easy to understand audio track, nicely balanced out between the music, dialogue and sound effects. And on to the special features. First up, you get the audio commentary, which was now recorded 20 years ago for the DVD release, which features actor Roger Moore, writer-producer Brian Forbes, and is moderated by journalist Jonathan Sothcott. Now, it's quite a engaging commentary as they reminisce. There's a lot of discussion between how Roger and Brian met and their careers long before they did this film. They really do go back into some old war stories there, which is very amusing stuff. But they also talk about getting this film made, what limitations they had at the time and how they dealt with it. Jonathan Sothcott talks about some of the history of the original short story and the fact that it was an episode of Alfred Hitchcock Presents. Brian Forbes and Roger Moore seem to not really know that, but they talk a lot about the making of the film, the other actors that were in the film, the practical locations, how some of the London landscape has changed since it was filmed, and talk a lot about the director, the late Basil Dearden. There are times it sounds like a little bit of an old boys club, but it's always great entertainment to hear Roger talk about his films. It was really fun to revisit this, even though the commentary is now, as I said, nearly 20 years old. I'm really glad it was included on here. And next you get the special feature that I really bought this version for. It's only a 20-minute featurette. I wish it could have been a lot longer, but it's called The Masters of Horror on the Man Who Haunted Himself, and features filmmakers Joe Dante and Stuart Gordon as they enthuse about this film and why they love it and why they think it still works and still has a cult following today. What is great is they talk about the influences that it had on them individually and how it affected their careers. And these two interviews are done separately but intercut together. As I said, I found this fascinating. I just wish it could have been 3 times the length. But I would say that about this film. And then finally the film includes the theatrical trailer as well. And that is unfortunately it. There's not a lot out there about this film. In fact, there are many people that don't even know about this film or know it exists. But as it's one of my favourites and I've recently done a live stream on it, I thought that I would do a review of this version. So as I said, it's the Kino Lorber version. I actually do like the artwork that they've included on this package as well. Again, I will put links below as to where you can find this. And that brings me to the end of another Home Media Minefield. A bit shorter episode this time, but I hope you found it interesting. If you did indeed, then please do like this video, give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing to the channel if physical media is your kind of thing, and please hit that bell icon so that you don't miss anything moving forward. I publish reviews, unboxings, etc. every week, as well as other content like live streams, podcasts and short films. I'll put links to all this stuff down below. But if you've got any questions or there's any particular film that you'd like me to look into for you, then please do put that down in the comments and I'll try and get back to you as soon as I can. But for now, I thank you for your time and I will speak to you at the next Home Media Minefield. Bye for now.